Bam, and we are recording. So, what up, UD? How you doing today?
I am good.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you could carve out a couple of minutes for me, so you could give your testimony, kind of give your story about, what your experience going through the coaching program was. And I really want to start from the beginning, right? So people can understand you, your background, um, what you were doing prior to us working together, and what your experience has been since, right?
Okay.
So yeah, do you mind telling people your background?
Yes, so my background is mostly healthcare. So I did my undergrad and then my grad school was nutrition. So I was a registered dietitian when I entered the workforce. Um didn't enjoy that. And I was an entrepreneur after that in sales, selling life insurance. Uh, didn't like that either. And I wanted to start working from home. So my first attempt to try to work from home was uh, tech sales. So just selling, like literally calling through a list of phone numbers of managers of businesses and pitching whatever software we're selling.
Mm-hmm.
That was just way too stressful for me. And I learned about myself. Like I cannot do stress. I cannot do micromanagement, being micromanaged. I cannot do office politics. I cannot do favoritism. I cannot do all the isms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I wanted to learn about how do I get a technical role where like you don't have to deal with any of that and you can work from home. And that's when I learned about RPA.
Okay, awesome. So you said a lot there. So you you have a degree, you have mostly a nutrition background, right? So
Yeah.
like, and was that tech sales job your first job in tech?
Yes.
That was your first job in tech. Okay, so realistically, before we started working together, you had how many years of working experience in tech?
One.
1 year. Okay, okay. Um, so then we start working together. What is your goal at that time? I heard you say you wanted a work from home job, right?
Yeah.
Was
Where
that a financial goal, or like what was your goal?
um I didn't have my financial goal was for my salary to be more than what I was used to. So even with the tech sales, it my base salary was what I was used to, and then I earned commission on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted just to know what money I would make.
Mm-hmm.
But my main goal was to have enough income, enough disposable income to afford. Basically, I just felt like I was restarting my life. I was like so behind on all my healthcare stuff. I just wanted to be able to afford taking care of myself and work from home so I would have the freedom and time and less stress to actually catch up on all this self-care that I've been missing out on.
Mm.
So that was my main focus and my main goal.
Okay, interesting. So you were looking for a way to have time and money to invest in the self care.
Right.
Okay.
There's stuff that's not covered by insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, I just wanted to be able to afford whatever I needed.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I like that. I like that. And I have a feeling that there are lots of women out there like that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I assume those are the ones that resonate with your content, and the people who end up finding me later. And so you find out about RPA. Did you find out about RPA through me, or did you find out um, somewhere else, and then me and you had a conversation about it?
I found well, I guess technically through you, but at that time I did not care about that stuff
Mm-hmm.
at all. It was when I saw somebody that we're close to working in that field, And after I had seen him working in the field for like a year, and his experience sounded like what you said your experience was like, that's when I started taking it seriously.
So you didn't take my word for it. We'll call him Jay. We'll call him Jay. The funny thing about that is that Jay, like, I showed it to him years before he showed it to you, and he didn't care. He was just like, "Yeah, no, man." I was like, "Bro, what you do is so much more difficult than what I do, and I can pay better. You should do this." Okay, so then you learned about RPA, and what was it that intrigued you so much about it?
It was the lifestyle that y'all were living. You know, and like y'all were doing it in your own way, but I'm like, if they're able to do that, you know, I'm thinking about what I can use my time and money for, you know. So
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, so then what was your first thought once you started work? So we work a lot with UiPath, right? And
yeah.
What was your first thought? Well, actually, before that, did you ever have any doubts that like maybe you couldn't learn RPA or maybe you wouldn't be good at it or anything like that?
No, but I'm smart. Like I never doubt that I always know I can learn something. Like I don't care how hard it is. I always know I can learn it. But my only fear would be doing it, like how hard is it to do, like on a day-to-day basis. That was my only fear, but you know, it's actually pretty easy to learn, and it is kind of like, yeah, it's really just like learning any software. Like if you're a photographer, you learn Photoshop, or if you're in sales, you learn Salesforce, and they're simple programs. You just use it enough times that you know what you're doing. And that's what UiPath was like, exactly.
Yeah. So I would ask this: have you come across anything simpler yet?
No.
It is by far the simplest technology that I have seen in tech, period. Which is why I teach.
Oh, in tech, period. Oh, yeah.
Have you
I
come
would
across
say,
anything simpler?
well, just based on my experience, I would say it's the simplest. It's I would say
And
that.
it can get complex, right? You can do some difficult things and get lost or whatever, but like in terms of like someone just coming off the street knowing nothing about tech, knowing nothing about software or anything, I think it is the easiest technology to learn.
You can learn it. It's like, I would say it's like learning how to use Microsoft Word or something.
Yeah. To a degree.
So you would need to, like, you need to know what a mouse is. Like you need to know how to click. You need to know, like, you can X out of programs, and like you need to know basic computer literacy. And if you know basic stuff, then you can learn UiPath for sure.
Exactly. The only person who I would say cannot learn it is like if I met like a grandpa who's like 80 years old and he was like doesn't even know how to use a keyboard. I'd be like, yeah, bro, this is probably not for you. This is not for you. They still type www, you know, when they go to websites and stuff. So, okay. So then you get involved in the course, which was much smaller at the time, right? Because I was kind of creating it as I was going. And what was it like when you first started?
It was really comforting for me because I'm the kind of person who, like, I'm always wondering if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm stupid or something. And going through the course with other people made me see, okay, I'm not I'm not behind. I'm not like doing it wrong, or like even just watching other people try to do something and fail. You know, we're all failing together, but we're learning together. I don't know. I enjoyed doing it in a group and feeling like we're moving along together.
Yeah, I remember you being on the calls, and usually like you would be the first one done, or like you were the one who I had to like monitor the least, so to speak.
Yeah,
like, you didn't need as much help.
yeah, but I'm on the computers all the time. So I would I would say, and I'm very logical. Like I took a lot of logic classes. Well, actually, my undergrad degree was math and philosophy. So the logic aspect was very easy for me. I was like
Mhm.
very familiar with the basic logic.
Mhm.
So that helps.
Yeah.
But and then I'm on the computer all the time. So
Mhm.
I type, but yeah, I'm not scared of computers, I would say. I don't
Yeah.
know how the other people were. I
Mhm.
know some people are just scared of computers,
Mhm.
but they learned it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then you learn the software, and then when do you feel comfortable enough? Oh no, then we start talking about interviewing, right?
Oh yeah.
If you
That was
come
my
in, you're
main,
like, I'm
that's
just
my
ready
main
to interview. Say it again.
the interviewing is my main thing. I like anything I know I can learn it, but
Mm-hmm.
talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really wanted to know.
Yes, I do remember that. You so okay. I don't want to tell a story. I want you to tell it, but I do recall. Can you relive that conversation or remind us of that conversation when you came to me and you're like, yeah, let's just do it. I just need to interview. I need to know. I guess I'm telling the story at this point. You were like, yeah, I just need to know what words. I need to know like what questions they're going to ask me, right? And I just need to get the interview. Right? And once as a matter of fact, how many interviews did you do before you got hired?
My first time I probably did maybe like 5 interviews.
So you did 5 before you got the first. So you got the 5th one. Like you did one,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 5th one was one that hired you.
I don't think it was I think it was maybe they were the third one.
3rd one. Okay. So did you feel discouraged after like maybe you didn't get the first one or the second one? Or did you kind of just brush
Well,
them?
I did them all so close together, so I didn't get the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I got the results kind of around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't discouraged because I already had an offer letter.
Wow. That's incredible. So, okay. So let's talk about your interview skills then. So we're going to set RPA aside, right? Because that's a specific technology and it was newer and all that. Or maybe I guess I'm talking about your social skills. Do
Mm,
you feel as though you interview well or have good interviewing social skills?
I I'm told I do, so I guess I do.
Do you feel confident on an interview? If you know what you're talking about, you know the stuff, and you're going to get an interview, do you usually walk in like, yeah, I got this?
I'm not a super cocky person.
No, not cocky, not cocky. Internally, do you feel that way?
Internally I feel like I probably got it.
Okay, no, that's good because people, and this is the most important part, people think that like they got to go get these certifications and these degrees. And do you have a certification in RPA?
No, yeah, you know it's crazy. It's like nobody got the certification, and I was really thinking, let me start. Even in the interview, I would tell them,
Mhm.
I want to get the certification, and
Mhm.
they don't care.
They don't care. You do not need that. You do not need that. Okay, so that's what like people come to me and they think, yeah, I got to get this certification. I got to get this cloud something, and I'm like, bro, you don't need
Oh,
any of that. You do
you're
not. Does
right.
it help? Yeah, but like you don't need it, right? And so
No.
I really want to spend a few minutes just talking about like the thing that you did well that I didn't teach you how to do. I taught you like what to say as far as RPA is concerned, but I didn't teach you how to interview. You already knew how to interview well, right?
Mhm.
So what did you do in order to get so many job interviews in such a short window?
Um, so I applied on LinkedIn, and then I formatted my LinkedIn. I went on dice.com. I think those are my two main websites, is LinkedIn and Dice.
Mm-hmm.
And so in addition to applying to jobs, also recruiters are contacting me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you remember how many jobs you had applied for?
a lot. I don't know.
Give me a guess. Was it like, is a lot 10? Is it 20? Is it
I
50?
probably applied for 50,
Okay. In the course of what?
50 to 70 in the course of maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. I like that. So like some of these guys out here, they're doing 1 or 2 a day, and it's like that's just not enough.
Yeah, and
It's
I
not
think it
enough.
depends on the timing as well. I think
That's
there's
true.
certain times of the year that there are more and they're more responsive. And then even what year it is, what's going
hmm
on in the
hmm
market.
hmm
So I think all of that affects it. And so you should apply to definitely more than 2 a day.
Yes, most definitely. So let's backtrack a little bit. So you said that you came in, you learned RPA, you like the group setting, you like that you were learning, right? Then I mean, again, I didn't teach you social skills. I taught you like what questions they would be asking for and how to answer them for RPA. And you put that on top of the interviewing and social skills that you already had, right? Um, and you applied for a shit ton of jobs, right? And then you eventually got hired, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, those are really the steps that I'm teaching everybody. And the funny thing about that is that those same steps work no matter what technology we're talking about. It could be
Mhm.
cloud or big data. You got to learn the freaking technology really well. Then you got to apply for a lot of jobs. You got to get well at interviewing. You got to make sure you have your resume up to date in your LinkedIn. It's the same, right? Um, so do you feel comfortable disclosing what your income was at the first job that you got?
The first one was 85,000.
Okay. Okay. And then you had another one after that, correct?
Yeah, and then I went up to 90,000 and then 95,000.
In the course of how long?
Oh, this happened like in 2 years?
So over 2 years, you gave yourself a $10,000 raise.
Yeah.
That's not happening most places, right? And you know what's funny? We weren't in communication when you were doing that.
No.
So like you did all that yourself, because I tell people you want to go up at least 15,000 between each jump, right? That's incredible. So what was your day-to-day like as an RPA developer at your favorite, whichever one was your favorite?
So they always have what's called a stand-up meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I Googled, what does this mean? I Googled, I,
Go ahead, go
um,
ahead.
so the stand-up meeting is where you talk about what you plan to do for the day and any challenges that you had the previous day. And this is how the manager keeps tabs on you. And I've had a
Mm-hmm.
job where there was no stand-up meeting, like the team wasn't big enough to have a stand-up meeting, and that's great. But
Yeah, because it's kind of like I'm just out here in space, just floating around, and if they need me, they'll contact me and let me know what I should
yeah,
be working on. Yeah.
but I assume most positions will have a stand-up meeting, and then you do your work. There's other meetings that you might have, like just random, just random meetings, or you might have like maybe they want you to work on a new project, so you'll have a meeting with whoever it is that needs this project done, so you
The
can,
stakeholder.
huh?
The stakeholder.
Yeah, the stakeholder.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be like an internal team, like the HR department wants something done, or it could be some company outside, just depends on your company that
Mm-hmm.
you work with. You'll have meetings with your supervisor, usually once a week. And like I've had a job where they didn't do that, and I think I would encourage you to do that unless you're somebody who's naturally an over communicator, and I'm not, and that's something I'm working on. But
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage having the weekly meetings so that you can have documentation of what you're doing and the value that you're providing and things like that. um so yeah, yeah, that's my day to day. The most stressful job I had was when, like, they wanted me to maintain bots that were
Mm-hmm.
already in play, and so
Coming
errors.
in after somebody else has already built something.
Yeah,
That is
so
difficult. That's difficult.
yeah, that was annoying because the errors could happen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
um, but even then, anyway, anything is better than the jobs that I've had previously.
Mm-hmm. So then let's talk about you came from tech sales for a year, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the stress level, the comparison, like on an average day, right? So I'm not talking about your worst. The average day as working in tech sales versus RPA. Which one was better?
RPA, way better. Like for tech sales, well, first of all, it's sales. So, you know, some people love it. And even though I have decent social skills, it's just stressful for me. But then also with the tech sales, there were quotas that had to be met. And then what was so annoying was even if you exceed the quota, they come up with something that you exceeding the quota wasn't good enough. And there's all these useless meetings. Like you will have meetings with RPA, but in the tech sales, the meetings were just completely useless. And there was a lot of politics. Like you can just see how certain people were favored. Oh, because they came from this group, and there were sometimes there's just isms. I call them the isms, whatever you want to say, racism, sexism. Some places you deal with that, and it's just really apparent. It's really apparent in that world. Whereas in RPA, if there's an ism going on, I have no idea. You hired me for a skill, I do the skill.
Have you even had a job in RPA so far where you've had to go into an office?
No, I haven't.
So all of your work as an RPA developer since you started has been remote? Yes. So you don't even do you feel as though your new standard is like, yeah, I can't go into the office anymore. I'm allergic to going into the office.
Yeah, it's like now it's not an expectation. Like it's if somebody talks to me about a job, I'm assuming I'm working from home, like I even forget that people are assuming I go somewhere. So
I love it. Okay, I mean, finally, what tips would you give to someone who is thinking about enrolling into so it's now called, I think when you did it, it was like the career overhaul something. It is the Break Into Tech Blueprint. That is what it's called. It's the one-on-one mentoring program. Someone who's thinking about getting into it, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to do a little research so you can come in with the appropriate mindset, so you can ask like whatever kind of question you have. So like just even go on LinkedIn and type RPA and just look at what the job market is looking at. Like I found out about there's other RPA softwares that they're looking for, and I've tried them. UiPath is the best. Now I will never do an RPA that's not UiPath. I will do forever. But it's good to kind of know what you're getting into. So when you're in the program, you're paying attention to what you need to pay attention to. You're asking the kind of questions that you really need to ask, like just based on how your mind works or what your personality is. Okay. Do everything AD says. So like do it immediately so that you can learn immediately, because there are so many nuances that may or may not happen. You don't know if it's going to happen. So you need to implement quickly. Like if you want to get hired quickly, you should implement quickly. So if something comes up, you can ask a question or, figure out what to do with AD's help and get hired that much faster.
I love it. Lastly, finally, what if there's someone who's like on the ropes? They're like, hey, I really want to do this. I really want to attempt a career in RPA, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I think it may be too difficult for me. What advice would you give to them?
I would assess your current career, if it's something you could see yourself doing long term, because if not, it doesn't make sense to not learn a skill. Don't let your low self-esteem prevent you from learning a new skill. You can you can learn even with low self-esteem. You can learn it, and you might be in a better place. You'll be really glad that you have more job opportunities.
I like it. I like it. Your self-esteem has nothing to do with your ability to learn something. I agree.
Right.
I agree. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you, being willing to talk to the people, because some people, like, they just don't believe until they hear it from someone else's mouth. So thank you again. And hopefully your followers see this and, they can come contact. As a matter of fact, no, where can they find you at if they want to, follow more of your story?
I have a TikTok called my username is Despite ADHD, and I post a lot about work and just it's a new lifestyle I've been able to come into, and yeah, I'm really thankful for it. So you can follow along there.
Absolutely. Follow her on TikTok. You guys can, follow me on Instagram at the RPA guy. Until next time, we're signing off. Peace.
Bye.
There you go.